We are currently not on the stream, by the way. How much time did you have? All right, we'll do it quick. Welcome to our Case 1 lesson in recovery. Today I have with us Exodus. Exodus, how are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I know we talked before and you said you'd actually done some landings of the Hornet on the carrier, but you hadn't actually done the Case 1 pattern or anything like that?
No, just like in the aerobatics server and stuff like that, messing around.
Okay. Well, today we're going to talk about the Case 1 pattern and why it's important. We're going to be using a couple of documents. One of them is in the link below, and that is the aircraft carrier operating procedures that I've seen a lot of squadrons use. And then we're going to use this document as well that we'll come back to and take a look at. But before we get into that, what I want to show you here, and I'm streaming in Discord now as well, is I want to talk about why this is important. So in this particular operation, we had several flights take off from the carrier. We're just practicing here doing a little seed work using some TALDs and harms, and we're just trying to launch these kind of at the same, or at an interval of about 30 miles in this case. And so the first flight launches their TALDs, and then we launch our harms. And I think this is a SA-10? Yeah, SA-10. Basically wastes all its stuff on the TALDs, and then we take out the SAM site with the harms that are coming in after. Yeah, so we launch these all at once, which is really cool, and then they hit all their targets. So what that leaves is a whole bunch of jets in the air at once, and fighters are thirsty beasts. So we're all coming back at the same time, trying to get into the pattern, which we're not going to talk about low holding. We're going to actually cover this from initial in. But why the pattern is important is once the initial happens, which my flight here, oh no, they're there first. In fact, we'll push to my flight coming down. Yeah, so once we come to initial, which is 3 miles, 350 knots, 800 feet, this is the part of the pattern that we're going to talk about. And it's important that we do this to the numbers because of the intervals. And I'll show you what that means here. We'll come in and lead will break. We do a 17-second break. And so that means that the interval of the person behind me is going to leave enough room so that when I'm about to land, if everything goes right, we'll be at about the 180. And that's really good spacing because if they come in a little closer than me on their beam distance, which we'll talk about, um, then there's a little room for error. There's a little bit room where they can be a little bit closer if needed. But what's really important is when the next set of planes come to land, that groove time and all of the timing works out so that they can get on deck and we have a good recovery cycle. So, I don't know, did you ever see anything like this before where you see a bunch of jets landing at one time and why the pattern's important?
Oh yeah, yeah, I see
Okay.
it. I've seen it a lot.
Okay. So, let's talk a little bit about that pattern as we see it here in a little bit more of a cleaner perspective. So again, we're not going to talk about high holding and commencing. We're basically just talking about the pattern from the initial point, which again is 3 miles, 350 knots, and 800 feet. Let me just move this over here. And so again, this is an important spot for timing things. Oh, wow, I'm sorry. This is an important spot for timing things and getting the numbers right. So the green line is the initial coming in. And one of the key things to remember is once you're in the pattern, you follow the pattern. You do not deviate from the pattern. So if we come in and everything's clear and there's no one coming down this way, at 1 mile or so, if you're only a two ship, the initial flight will break. And we don't need to practice that today, but it's important to understand the pattern. So once that break occurs, 17 seconds later, the next jet will do their break. And when you do the break, the way I understand it is you dirty up. Well, first of all, back that up. You bank left, hold your altitude of 800 feet, because if someone bolters, or if they were launching underneath you, they're going to stay at their altitude of 600 feet. And you only have 200 feet between you, so you can't descend in this turn. You've got to maintain it. So when you turn, it's a flat and level turn, speed brake on. I do just a little bit of pull, so I get a nice even rotation. At 250 knots, which is usually before I'm level the other direction, the speed brake comes off, gear is down, and flaps are down. Hook should already be down, but just in case, I'll double check it there. And then you want to come here and you want to be 1.1, I think, to 1.3 miles abeam the carrier. And in the Hornet, there is a nice little tool. Can you see this here, what I'm streaming?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're not familiar, in the Hornet, this is me going this direction. The carrier is going the opposite direction. This is representing the carrier's TACAN. If I look down here on the right, just above where it says CSEL, that 1.3 C is my distance offset to the carrier. So not my distance to the carrier, so just my beam distance. So when you're coming off the turn, you can see what your beam distance is. Because I know my reciprocal or I calculate it, I'm looking at that in reference to the distance and I'm trying to figure out how much turn I need to do to get to where I want to be. I typically kind of line up for about a 1.3, but if your jet's lighter, you might go to a 1.2 or even a 1.1 because your weight and all of that stuff kind of depends on that circle size. So it's a little bit of a feel and you can get used to that. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. Have you ever used that before?
Yeah, I've used the TACAN and ILS in it before.
Okay. And the offset? So,
Uh, yeah.
okay. So once you become a beam to the LSO platform, and you look and see, which again, case one is done in the day and clear, you can make sure your distance is right. When you get a beam, you start making a 28-ish degree turn, 28 to 30. Again, kind of depending on weight and wind and where you are. And you're descending, right? And about the 90, I don't know, somewhere close to 500 feet, 480 feet, something like that. And then you're going to turn for your 10 degrees off the BRC for the deck and land, flying the ball. Now, if you bolter, It's really important that you're aware of what's happening in the pattern. If you bolter, you can take this red line here, initially go off, turn to BRC, and then if everything is clear, there are no jets coming down here, then you can turn in. Now it does get a little bit complicated if you have jets coming down from initial. It's first to the front of the deck here. And if that's you, because you boltered in there first, you get to turn in first. However, if you boltered and there are jets already past the bow of the ship, you have to wait for them. So when that happens, let's say there was just 2 jets and not 4 like in this example, you would climb to 600 feet, turn right, get back onto BRC, and you would let them fly over you. And when they get back to about your 7 o'clock position, you can then interval in again. And again, there's a lot of jets in the pattern. This is important. So if there's no jets, you can turn. There won't be any today. But if there are, you need to follow the darker red line and wait for your interval. Any questions on that?
No, I got it.
Okay. So the next thing, we won't really get in the spin pattern because we're only gonna really talk about initial for this point and the basic parts of the break. The spin pattern we can get into a different time. But if for some reason, let's say you were here, I don't know, about the 90, let's just say, and you saw a jet was really close to you and you really didn't know why for whatever reason. Do you know what you should do in that scenario?
If you're in the initial still,
No, I'm sorry. You've already come a beam and you're turning in for your final, right? If you see a jet that's maybe just in front of you coming in, like maybe they were long in the groove or something, right? Do you know what you should do?
probably climb back to 800 and get back into uh, the hold.
Nope. You fly the pattern, you fly the pattern, and you always fly the pattern. It is the LSO's job to wave you off. Or if someone goes too long, so I'll give you an example here on these distances, which will put me in the spotlight. So if I come a beam, I'm about where I want to be, 1.2, 1.3. You need to maintain under 1.5. But if you do that, your groove time is going to be longer. It's actually a little better if you're probably closer to like 1.3 the whole time. And so if for some reason this jet here, let's say because he's actually at initial, but let's say he's, you know, over here in this area trying to land, and it's very clear that by the time he lands, there's not going to be enough time for me to land because he went long in this groove. It's up to the LSO to wave him. I wish I had a good example to show, but I don't. So unless you're going to hit the jet, right, your job is to always fly the pattern. The LSO should wave the person who blew the pattern. So like if I came here and Cool Hand was, I had messed up the pattern and I was long for him or whatever, then they're going to wave me and they're going to let Cool Hand be rewarded for flying the pattern correctly. So
Mm-hmm.
it gets a little confusing at times because it can be stressful. But no matter what happens, once you're in the pattern, you only fly the pattern. And, unless there's some immediate emergency, the LSO should deconflict you, punish the guy who messed it up, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, with that, again, to me, it's a beautiful ballet of everyone comes in, the funnel starts to drain through the center, and when it's done right, um, you know, it happens quickly, it's efficient. We run it zip lip. That means the only call you make in this is ball, and we've actually practiced with just using the wave lights. But to call
Mm-hmm.
ball, you need to be about 3/4 of the mile. You need to be wings level and lined up, and that's when you just say, um, I would say my Modex, which in this case will just make you 375. I would say 300 Hornet Ball, and then my fuel state 4.2, right?
What is Modex?
That's the number on the side of the jet that you would
Got
have.
you.
Yeah. So away from the carrier, like beyond 50 miles ish, or different authorities you check in with, you would use your call sign, Dragon 11. When you're talking to Strike or LSO, which is like within 50 miles, you use your Modex. So the number on the side of the jet. So for you today, it'll be
So
375. So you just say, 375 or Hornet, yeah, 375 Hornet Ball 3.2. Boom. Everything we need to know is there. The LSO will start taking over. So for the
okay,
purposes of today, we will both take off. I'll take off maybe a minute ahead of you. I'll just come back and do a quick landing. I'll get out of the wires and then I'll jump on LSO. When you land, we can talk about it. We'll rinse and repeat so that we can each get a landing in and each get a wave. Before we do that, though, do you have any questions?
are there any other calls I need to be making?
No. So
To be
in
making?
what was that? No. So
To be
in
making? Do what?
no. So if you were if we were doing this by the numbers, there's other calls that some people make. I don't make. We go basically all zip lip. So the only call you make is ball. That's it.
Okay.
Keeps it simple. Like if you got 20 flights coming in and they're calling in that they're beam or that they have pedals contact or all the different calls you can make, it just clutters the radios to death, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, we go totally zip lip as they call it. If you're ready, we'll jump in the jet and we'll go see what we can do.
Sounds good.
All right, let me jump in the jet here. Radio check, one on the right.
Radio check.
Lima Charlie.
All right, on the right.
Okay, then the carrier is going to turn here. It should be 044 when it's done, if it's done it the way it's done before on this map. But I'm going to go ahead and taxi.
And there it goes.
Yep. And go ahead and just grab like Cat 3.
Okay.
Oh, you know what I didn't cover? Do you know how to do the offset when you launch?
Nope.
Ah, I knew I was forgetting something. All right, let me know when you're set and I can tell you about the offset.
All right, I'm on it.
All right, so when you take off, if you're on Cats 1 and 2, like I'm on, you're going to take off and you're going to go, you're going to turn right 20 degrees. So if we're 044, you go to 064, right? And then as soon as you do that, you're going to go back left again. That's just to get offset from the carrier, as I've been told. In case you had an issue, you had to eject, you don't get run over from the carrier. For Cats 3 and 4, you're going to go 20 degrees to the left. So since we're 044, you're going to go left to 022 and then go back right again to 044 once you reach that. That should offset you. Again, the pattern speed we're not going to adhere to right now. I would just keep your gear down, turn back in at 1 mile, and let's just work that pattern after the break so we can get some more landings in, but essentially you still need to turn off if you're going to take off from the boat. At least initially we should do that. I'll go down at least a couple miles, just get that initial turn off.
Okay, what's our initial altitude after takeoff, and am I forming back up on you?
No, we're not going to do any forming up. So, in fact, you know what? Let's not even worry about the turnoff because we'll just be in the pattern. There's no other jets here. We'll just take off straight. You're going to be a little bit off, so you'll need to go 044. And then once you're like, you know, give yourself 1.5 miles down the deck, maybe 2 miles to get turned in so you can do all the things you need to do. Your initial altitude, 600 feet. That's all you care about. So just take off, leave your gear down, flaps to full, so you'll change that, hook down, and then turn in at like 1.5 miles, 2 miles, and just follow the pattern. Does that make sense?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. All right, so I will take off, and then just give me like just like a minute, and then I should be able to land and get off the deck before you get a chance to land.
Sounds good.
Oh, and then landing weight. With your jet empty, you're going to want no more than 6,500 pounds of fuel. I'm guessing you have a bunch of fuel right now, or did you refuel lower?
No, I have a bunch of fuel.
Go ahead and rearm and put in, I think, about 30% fuel, 35% fuel. By the time you're done with that, it should be time for you to take off.
Okay.
Bingo.
Salute.
Any reason for that?
Just the weight of the weight of the jet on landing. If you're too heavy, there's a max trap weight. It's like 32,000 pounds, 34,000 pounds. Oh man, I thought I was dumping fuel this whole time. I'm going to come in a little bit heavy.
Yeah, I'm still on the cat.
Yeah, you're good. You can watch from the LSO platform if you want. Oh, I can't land. Well, I will just wave off. That's funny. Well, I guess you'll get a little bit of an air show, and that was good practice for me. Yeah, let me know when you take off. See, it all works out. I knew you were going to do that, and I needed to dump more fuel, though I'm guessing dumping fuel over the carrier is not exactly allowed. But you can't see that, so it doesn't matter. I don't know why DCS doesn't. I don't think you can see me dumping fuel.
Bingo. Bingo.
Alright, I'm going to keep flying down until you are done, or I hit like 3 miles.
Alright, I'm off the deck.
Alright, I'm going to turn in 2 miles. So go at least like 2 miles down. That way we have a, well, yeah, that's fine. Or at least make sure that like you see me beyond your 7 o'clock, or at least that. That was a good example, though, of what to do if there's a problem. Just fly the pattern.
Nice.
It's all planned, man. It seems accidental and random, but it's all planned. It's all part of the plan. Three zero zero Hornet ball 6.0. I lost the ball a bit there.
Bingo. 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 Bingo.
Alright, I'm clear of the deck. I'll jump on LSO.
Okay.
Don't forget to call the ball. Power, 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 power. Could you hear me on channel 1 on the right?
Yeah, but I couldn't key up.
Okay, we'll just use this channel. That's fine. I probably should have waved you there. You got really, really low, but you could hear my power calls, right?
Yeah.
Bingo.
Okay.
Bingo.
So then we'll go and do another pattern. Hopefully I don't lose the ball. I did a 3-wire, but really it's about how well you fly the ball, and I just was losing it on the way in.
My trim isn't working for some reason.
Request launch. Your trim isn't working?
Yeah, I'm like constantly having to hold back pressure in the stick.
Try resetting your FCS and rudder trim, which are on the left behind the throttle by the red button there, or the red switch.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna get hooked up. And you, I don't know why your rudder trim wouldn't work. You looked really good though until you got low, by the way. Your crosshair, you were coming across like almost on the crosshair line, and you came in maybe just a little bit off center.
Yeah, I think I left, but the VSI was like below the HUD.
Yeah. That's because you were so low. Alright, here we go.
Now I can't get the
Salute.
ground crew to respond to me.
Did you request launch?
Is that through the F10?
Yep. We should get you set up with voice attack. It lets you do it with just one command. I'm talking to you and I got high. You have to do it from behind the door, the blast ramp.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn back in. You're not on Cat 3 or 4, right?
I'm gonna move back up to 2.
Okay, perfect.
And what do you say whenever you're calling the ball? 'Cause you say some numbers I don't understand.
So you just need to say 375 Hornet or Hornet ball. God dang it, I'm screwing this up. You say 375 Hornet ball and then your fuel state. That's all you'll need to say.
Okay.
.300 Hornet ball 5.0. Oh, that was a 4-wire. Last time I was low, this time I was high. Maybe next time I'll get it right. Request launch. I guess it didn't take. Request launch.
The 375 Hornet ball.
Roger ball. Right for lineup. You're a little high. That was pretty good. Little high, little off, and you called the ball way early, but that's pretty common actually. People want to dump that workload. Usually call it like in closer to about, point 3/4 of a mile-ish. How'd that feel to you?
It felt way better.
Like anything, doing some practice really helps. How do you find flying the numbers?
It makes more sense. I think it's more fun.
Actually, let's do this. Let's check your TAC view really quick and see what numbers you hit.
I was out to like 1.6 on that last one.
Well, TAC view will tell all.
Yeah, and on my downwind I was 0.9.
Alright, well, let's look live. Okay, you can hear me?
Yep.
I accidentally muted everything. It's really bad. Okay, I don't know if you can see this or not, but... Oh, that's me. Where are you? Oh, you hadn't taken off for a little bit. That's right. Okay, so in your first one, you're about 1.07 a beam. It's a little tight. Looks like you push it out as you're coming in. Ooh, if you were really long on the first one, you went a couple miles. Big deal. It's practice. It looks like on the next one... Oops, that's me. You come a beam less than a mile, which makes a turn a bit tighter. Looks like you turned out. You're starting your turn late. So when you look to the left and you kind of see where the LSO platform is, that's where you should start your turn. It's because you're getting a bit long. So no big deal. But does that make sense?
Yeah, you turn a beam. Gotcha.
Yeah, you're just turning long. Okay, good. Well, let's do this again. Salute. Again, just wait like, a minute, 90 seconds after me.
Yeah.
Again, when I'm turning, I'm looking at that beam distance on the HSI page and kind of gauging the rate I'm turning, what my distance is, and where I'll be when I get to the reciprocal.
Okay.
It's something you have to practice, but once you get it down, it really helps. 300 Hornet ball 4.2. I'm still struggling on the ball today. Wow, that was terrible.
.375 Hornet ball.
Roger ball, you're low. Wave off, your hook isn't down. I'm going to stay on LSO platform.
Okay. And when you call the ball, just give your fuel state. .375 Hornet ball 3000.
Roger ball. Looked like you were a bit long, but other than that, it looked pretty good. I mean, lots of adjustments in this and that, but, you know, as long as you land decent, you know, it was good. Are you turning a beam at the carrier deck?
Yeah, I'm just on my crosswind and downwind. I feel like I'm long, but I don't know.
Yeah, do you think it would help watching me do a cycle from my Discord stream?
Yeah, I can watch one. I'm gonna go ahead and taxi over and shut down because I gotta eat dinner and start getting ready for bed.
Yeah, no worries. I'll do one more and then we'll end the stream, but then I can kind of walk you through what I'm doing a little bit.
Sure.
Request launch. But I mean, comparatively speaking, to a lot of people I've seen, actually I think you're doing pretty well. There's some refinement and some tighter numbers. Um, but it's clear you've flown some carrier landings before. And it's just a matter of, you know, like anything, just getting the fine points down and hitting your numbers comfortably. Oh, you know what? No wonder I think I struggled. I didn't. I had half flaps. What a silly boy. Talking about getting your numbers down right.
I hopped out of the jet so I
Salute.
can no longer hear you on the radio.
Okay. Alright, so all I'm doing is I'm going to get my altitude up here, stay on BRC. We'll turn it at 2 miles just to make it nice and easy. Can you hear me on Discord?
Yeah. I'm on the LSO platform.
Okay.
I forgot the frequency, but I could switch over to the radio if you want.
No, it's fine.
Oh, so the bottom right number you're talking about is your distance off course, right?
No, it's your distance abeam of the carrier. Alright, so, no, it's distance abeam of the carrier. So I'm set up about where I want to be, 1.2. I'm on reciprocal. I'm at 600 feet. All I'm going to do now is I can actually look down at my HSI page and see the reference point from my jet to the TACAN. I can tell you now I'm getting pretty close. I'm going to look over. I'm almost there. Oops, I'm descending. And now I'm abeam. So we'll turn left. And now we want the descent. And I'm going to be trying to get down to about 500 feet by the 90. And looking for the ILS line as I come across. I try to make sure my VVI is lined up with that. And here I know I got a bit of turning to do, so I need a little extra power to stay on the ball. And I turned a little too sharp, so I'm just going to adjust. .300, want a ball 3.3. Ah, I knew I was a little long. I was a little high on the ball.
Yeah, it looked like on the LSO thing you were a little high on left.
Yeah, a little bit there. So let me jump out of this really quick. Well, actually, you know what I can do? I'll just silence that. We'll go take a look at the TAC view for the last couple, and then we can call it good. So, oh, I have to reopen. When you do the live TAC view look, you have to go out of the folder and come back in, otherwise it doesn't capture the latest data. Okay, so we'll click on you. And we already looked at your first couple, so let's take a look at this one. I think this should be your third.
And I think that was the second one.
This is the second one? Oh, yeah, it is. I can tell by the distance. Yep. Okay.
So the only thing I'm using is the distance from the TACAN that's on the hood. I don't see that distance in the HSI.
Okay, so that's why you're having issues. In the on the HSI page, bottom right corner, where you see in the stream now, this 1.3, that's your beam distance. It's going to be different than your TACAN distance most of the time. It's only telling you how far you are, in this case, west of the carrier. It doesn't matter if you're 5 miles north. It's going to tell you what your beam distance is, how far you are offset to the carrier.
Well, I wasn't getting that. I was only getting C-cell.
And you had TACAN and ILS boxed?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, we'll have to go check some switchology, but that is critical. If I didn't have that, it'd be much harder to line up. So that's probably why you're having some lineup issues. But that's the switchology thing. We can fix that. So like here, you're less than a mile, which is fine. It just makes the turn a little sharper and a little harder. But your turn, you're actually like really good on this one. And was this the one where you had no hook down and I called you to wave? I was like, power, wave off, no hook.
It happens.
Yeah. So here, your beam distance is good. You turn, it looks like a little bit late. Yeah, and you end up long, right? So you could have been waved off just for that, but I wasn't going to do that to you this time. And so, you know, again, pretty solid, especially for somebody who really hasn't done this before. And we'll come watch mine. Oh no, this is me. Okay. So, like here, I'm literally looking at my heading, looking for the reciprocal, looking at that beam distance, and just kind of adjusting as I can. And, you know, I want to be like 1.2 is kind of my favorite. So I'm pretty close to that. I turned here. I think I turned a little too sharp here, and I had to kind of straighten it up a little bit, but that's fine. Little tiny bit off, and then just a little high on the ball. But either way, my landing wouldn't affect anybody in the groove, and the numbers are there. I think you'll get there with more practice. Again, I think, for someone who's just starting out trying to get those numbers in, if you weren't seeing that symbology down there in the bottom right, that's something we got to check into as to why. But using all the tools, I think, really helps.
Yeah, I need to
Um,
figure that out.
yeah. Any questions before we go?
No, I think that's about it.
Well, this is an impromptu live stream, just teaching somebody who hasn't done this pattern before. I hope it's helpful. Please consider a like and subscribe, and thank you for joining.